So, in this video we are going to look at temperature a little more closely than we have done in the past, and we are going to talk about zeroth law of thermodynamics, right. So, temperature and right. So, let us talk about temperature. So, what do you understand by temperature? What is temperature? Yeah, a sense of whether body is hot or cold, right. You can say degree of hotness of a body, right. And as you can see, it is hard to say exactly what it is. We all know what it is, but it is difficult to say or define it, right. And this definition is not very accurate, in the sense that if I touch it versus you touch it, you may feel something is warm versus I may feel something is hot, and vice versa, right. So, it is not very precise, right. And so, there is only one definition for temperature, and that is by the concept of thermal equilibrium. And that is, if you bring two bodies in contact, if they exchange energy, that means they are not at the same temperature. And the energy, if it goes from, let us say, object 1 to object 2, then object 1 is hotter than object 2 and vice versa, right. So, it is not really defined as a temperature, it is defined as an absence of energy flow, means thermal equilibrium, that means they are at the same temperature. If you bring two bodies together and they do not exchange energy, right, then they are in thermal equilibrium and they are exactly at the same temperature, right. And the zeroth law of thermodynamics therefore says that if body A is in thermal equilibrium with body C, right, and if body B is in thermal equilibrium with body C again, these two C's being the same, then this implies, then if this is true, then body A must be in thermal equilibrium with body B, right. So, if A and C are in thermal equilibrium, that is, if A and C are brought in contact and there is no energy transfer, and B and C are brought in contact and there is no energy transfer, then A and C and B and C are in thermal equilibrium, right, and therefore, A and B must also be in thermal equilibrium. This is what the zeroth law of thermodynamics states. This might seem very trivial or common sense. It might seem like, you know, it's so common sense that why is it even called a law? The reason is that it defines temperature as something which is required when for no energy exchange to occur, right. And it also helps you to define the concept of a thermometer. So, if you replace C with a thermometer, then what this tells you is that if a properly calibrated thermometer measures the temperature of something and measures the temperature of some other thing to be equal, then they both must be at the same temperature, right. And that allows you to say that, and it is not obvious, or it is not, cannot be derived from other laws of thermodynamics, which is why it is called the zeroth law of thermodynamics. Now, that is a precise definition, but that is not a very helpful definition in everyday life, because we need to be able to quantify temperature, we need to be able to assign numbers to it. And so, therefore, to be able to assign numbers, we define temperature scales. Right. So, what are some of the temperature scales that you are aware of? Degree Celsius, yes, Celsius scale. Kelvin scale, okay. This Fahrenheit, and there is something called a Rankine scale, and there may be other scales, and you can define your own scale, although nobody is likely to adopt it. You can, if you want, define your own temperature scale. So, what is a temperature scale? A temperature scale is created with the help of properties of different substances. So, for example, if you take water at ice point, what is ice point? Ice point is water in liquid form plus water in ice form, that is solid, in equilibrium with air at atmospheric pressure saturated with water vapor, right. So, what is this? It is a mixture of liquid and ice in contact with air that is saturated with vapor, that is it cannot hold any more vapor. If you add any more vapor to it, the vapor will condense out, right. So, it is saturated with vapor, and if you have such a mixture, right, then that is at its ice point, okay. And similarly, we define something called a boiling point. And that is water boiling, water in liquid form plus water in vapor form at 1 atmosphere pressure. That is, if you have a mixture of liquid water and vapor and its pressure is 1 atmosphere, then we call that boiling point of water. Okay. So, at atmospheric pressure, of course, if you change the pressure, the boiling point changes. So, the important thing is that the temperature has to be held constant. So, what Celsius did was to take that he took the ice point and called it 0 degrees Celsius arbitrarily, no reason for it. Okay. And then they took the boiling point and call it 100 degrees Celsius, again no reason for it. Okay. So, and then they said this is a linear scale and you can divide it into 100 divisions, and each division is 1 degree Celsius, right. So, this is 1 degree Celsius. Of course, Fahrenheit said this is not 0, this is 32, and this is not 100, this is 212. And that is fine. You can assign any arbitrary number to those 2 points, and once you assign numbers to those 2 points, you have a temperature scale, right. Now, this temperature scale was useful, but not very much outside the ice point and the boiling point, right, because it could define temperatures inside, but not outside, right. Then what they did, thank you. Then what they did, they took some ideal gas in a cylinder piston arrangement, right, ideal gas, and they enclosed it in a sort of like a enclosure, right, whose temperature they could control because they knew this ice point and boiling point, right. So, then they plotted for an ideal gas, temperature and pressure being two independent quantities. I can plot this as, let us say, 0, and let us say this is 100 degree Celsius, and this is pressure, right. So, let us say you had something like this, right. So, the ideal gas showed them a linear behavior between pressure and temperature, right. So, if they increase the temperature, the pressure would increase, and so that was very helpful. But if you took a different quantity of ideal gas, or if you started out with a higher pressure or a lower pressure, then you could get a different graph, right. So, you could get a graph like this, for example. Right. So, you could do a different experiment with a different ideal gas and get a curve like this, right. But if you extend this, then they found that they all meet at one point, right, and that point happened to be minus 273.15 degrees Celsius, right, and they call that absolute 0. Now, this is only a extrapolation on paper. Why? Because if you take an ideal gas and start cooling it, at some point it will stop behaving like an ideal gas, right. It is no longer an ideal gas, not just when it condenses to a liquid, but much before that it will stop behaving like an ideal gas, right. It behaves, oxygen behaves like an ideal gas at a high temperature and low pressure, right. But when you start cooling it beyond a certain value, stops behaving, even though it is a gas, it stops behaving like an ideal gas. So, I only take the graph that is reflective of ideal gas behavior and extrapolate that graph, even though the actual oxygen does not behave like this, right, and then only I will be able to meet at that point. If I extrapolate, or if I try to draw the actual behavior, that will look very different from this. But if I extrapolated the ideal gas behavior, then I will all the ideal gases converge at this point, minus 273.15 degrees Celsius, right. So, that became the thermodynamic temperature, that became the degree Celsius scale. Absolute 0 was called minus 273 degrees, the ice point was 0 degrees, and the boiling point was 100 degrees, right. And then in ITS 90, they said this is too dependent on properties of water, and also dependent on the precise measurement of the difference between the ice point and the boiling point, right. They defined the thermodynamic, this is called the ideal gas temperature scale. Right. Then they defined in ITS 90 thermodynamic temperature scale, which is also called the Kelvin scale. They said 1 Kelvin is equal to 1 by 273.16 of the they said water at triple point, whatever is the thermodynamic temperature, 1 by 273.16 of that is 1 Kelvin, and that is the temperature scale, the Kelvin or the thermodynamic temperature scale that was defined. So, note that this is only dependent on one point, and that is the triple point of water, which is easily replicable. There is no ambiguity about measurement of the difference in temperature. There is an absolute definition, which is the triple point. What is the triple point? Triple point is ice plus water liquid plus water vapor in equilibrium. So, if you have ice, liquid and vapor at equilibrium, then you have the triple point, and that triple point is 273.16 Kelvin, right. It is slightly different from ice point, because ice point is ice and water in equilibrium with air, whereas this is ice and water in equilibrium with water vapor, and those two are slightly different by 0.01 degrees Celsius. And so, that is how it is defined, and 1 degree Celsius by definition became equal to 1 Kelvin. So, 1 degree Celsius is no longer 1/100th of the difference between 0 degrees, that is the ice point, and the boiling point. So, 1 degree Celsius now started to be defined as necessarily equal to, by definition, equal to 1 Kelvin. Now, although degree Celsius came into being earlier, and it was 1/100th of the temperature difference between the ice point and the boiling point, Kelvin is more precisely defined, and it is 1 by 273.16. Although this number came from the degree Celsius scale, right, but this number is just the number, that is it, does not mean anything. And now 1 degree Celsius is exactly equal to 1 Kelvin, and so therefore, once they did more precise measurements, they found out that the boiling point of water at 1 atmosphere pressure is equal to 99.975 degrees Celsius, or maybe it is 99.9. Just 1 second. Yeah, this is correct. So, 99.975 degrees Celsius is the this is called the steam point. It is not called the boiling point, it is called the steam point.
Sir,
yeah,
there you have given thermodynamic temperature,
yeah.
like here 1 Kelvin is equal to 1 by 273. What is the difference, like thermodynamic temperature we can like especially you have given thermodynamic temperature. Is it really any difference between temperature and only thermodynamic temperature?
Yeah, there is. It is, the thermodynamic temperature is defined that way. So, when we do second law, right, when we go to the second law of thermodynamics, we will see what this thermodynamic temperature means, right. It has a very precise definition, and that we will see what that definition is.
Okay. And also, sir,
yeah.
Why people are like all over the country, world, so people are following different scales, like somewhere it is Kelvin, somewhere it is degree Celsius, and somewhere it is
Fahrenheit. Kelvin and degree Celsius are interchangeable, right. You can have 1 degree Celsius temperature difference of 1 degree Celsius is exactly equal to temperature difference of 1 Kelvin, right. And whenever we talk about, for example, engineering systems, when we talk about scientific systems, we talk in Kelvin typically. But when we talk in some engineering practical applications, industries, we talk in degree Celsius. It is just a matter of convenience, and so that is what it is. And degree Fahrenheit is still followed even in countries which have converted completely to metric. Even in India, for example, the body temperature is never measured in degrees Celsius. It is always measured in degree Fahrenheit, because that became the industry standard. That is something that people understand intuitively, and so they use it. And these scales are interchangeable. And so, as long as they are interchangeable, you know how to convert one to the other. You can live with multiple temperature scales. It's not a problem, right? Any other question? Okay. So, temperature is measured. You can measure temperature different ways. This is one of the devices that is used to measure temperature. So, this is what is called a thermocouple. Thermocouple is a set of two metals, metal wires, which have two junctions, right. So, you take two metal wires, join them at the ends, you get two junctions. This is one such junction. This is the temperature that you want to measure, right. And the other junction goes into a data acquisition system that plugs into this plug here. So, this is the plug that it plugs into, right. So, this is the temperature that you want to measure, that is one junction. The other temperature is on the other side. So, if you maintain these two junctions at different temperatures, there is an electric current that is set up in the circuit, depending on the two metals that are involved. And if you can measure the current, which is relatively easy to measure, then you can measure indirectly the temperature, right. So, this is one way in which temperature is measured.